This completable feature class has a couple of methods that we use for creating a completable feature object. If you want to run a task that doesn't return a value, we call run async. This basically says run this task in an asynchronous or non-blocking fashion. Now here we can pass a runnable object or a runnable plus an executor. If we don't pass an executor, this method is going to run our task on a common pool. Let me show you. So here we have this class, fork join pool. This is one of the implementations of the executor service interface. Now here we have a static method, common pool, and this returns the pool that is used by the completable feature class. So if you don't supply a pool, this is the pool that is going to be used under the hood. Now this pool is well aware of the number of available threads. Earlier I told you how to get that. So we have this class, runtime. We call it get runtime and then available processors. So on my machine, I have 4 cores and each core has 2 threads. So the common pool is based on the number of available threads. Now, if this doesn't fit your application, you can always create a custom pool with fewer or more threads. Okay. Now, to simplify this, I'm not going to pass a pool. I'm just going to pass a runnable object. So let's create a runnable object called task. And here we just want to print something. Now we can pass the task over here. Now this returns a completable feature object. Now look at the type of this object. It's a completable feature of void because our task is not returning a value. Okay. Now, with this single line of code, we can execute a task in an asynchronous fashion. We didn't have to create an executor and then submit a task to it and then shut it down. We only called completable feature that run async. Now, if our task should return a value, instead of calling the run async method, we call the supply async method. Now look at the signature of this method. Here we can pass a supplier. That is a functional interface. We talked about it before. It has a single abstract method called get that returns a value. Now, similar to the run async method, here we can pass a supplier or a supplier plus an executor. If we don't supply an executor, the common pool will be used. Okay. So I'm going to change this task to a supplier of integer. And here, let's just return 1. This will return a completable feature of integer. Let me show you. So the type of this feature object is completable feature of integer. Now, if you want to get this value, we call future.get because this is a future object. So all the methods that you learned about future objects also exist here. Now, as I told you before, this get method is a blocking method. So it's going to block the current thread until the result is ready. But in this completable feature object, we have a bunch of other methods that allow us to build complex asynchronous operations. We'll talk about them as you go through this section. Now, let's call the get method and store the result over here. We should wrap this with a try-catch block and then print the result. There you go. So this is how we can create a completable feature object.